Hi everyone. I want to give a little talk.
I like that. That's great. That's really nice.
I just bought it. Wonderful. I got a few folks here braving now the snow. At least it held off for a while. Somebody said it's going to snow, and I'm like, you know, I'm in charge of a lot of things, but the weather's not one of them. Anyway, one of my lines, one of my hundreds of thousands of lines from running the gallery for 37 years. Anyway, as usual, the first thing I always do is do a welcome to Zenith Gallery in 1111 Pennsylvania, and thank you all for coming. And this is a special, you know, it's our anniversary, our 37th year, as I affectionately say. It doesn't feel a day over 100. And there's a lot of, you know, I want to introduce the artists and my staff and some other people that I'm, you know, thrilled that are here. I'm thrilled everybody's here. And with, you know, I did, you know, since March is Women's History Month, I decided to do a show of women, and since Washington is now the first country in the United States to be run by women as the mayor, chief of police, and chancellor of the schools, you know, yay women, I thought we'd do a women's show here, and certainly women artists are the forerunners of their times, as all artists are. What artists come to today is what becomes the norm in the future. So artists don't think in terms of weeks, years, or decades. They think in terms of centuries and millenniums. You know, and as I always say, they dug up paper mache from China that's 5,000 years old. How long is stone and bronze and even wood gonna last? So as I tell my clients, that your first decision is whether you're going to buy the art, and your second decision is who you're going to leave it to, because it will outlive you. Anyway, first of all, let me introduce you to some of the artists that are here for the show. First of all, my dear friend and former apprentice, Carol Newmeyer, who is my emotional barometer, and if you want to understand what that means, you're going to ask me later. And Carol does wonderful bronze work and sculpture and jewelry, and I'll let you all say something in a moment. And next to her is Linda Smith Budge, and she's another woodworker, and she should take that as a great compliment, because you're always the pickiest at what you know the best, and the wood is what I know the best. And so if I'm showing another person who does wood, I really think they're good. You know, and even from the very beginning, and in fact the first time we showed was here at 1111, and I think we did the whole show in one day. I had never talked to Linda before, and you and Katie were the same. It was the two of you, and it all happened in one day. And you know, woodworkers are, you know, it's a little different than, you know, other industries, but everybody who works in wood, generally speaking, is a lovely person, because wood is such a great material, and it's just, you know, it's, you know, one of my lines about wood is that trees can live very well without people, but people cannot live without trees. I could go on, but I won't. And so our other artists that are here, Joyce Zipper. Joyce does these absolutely wonderful, very unique pieces of dresses and fans and stone pieces. So she's, like a lot of our artists, works in a lot of materials, and even though they're not here because they would freak out if I put them here, her bikini lines and things like that. The fact that they let me hang that is a friggin' miracle, frankly. And so
so risque.
Yeah, I mean, not. But and I think that's Donna's, and I know in Texas, Renee DeRoche is French Canadian, is actually in Florida for the month. Can't blame her for that.
Like any smart French Canadian.
Yeah, and I know Donna's out of town. Oh, and Anne's supposed to be here. I don't know where Anne is. So, but what? She's coming up for air. She's coming up for air. It's her favorite line. She's coming up for air. But she's done some really interesting pieces here. And so, and as far as my staff goes, Suzanne has been with me forever and a day. And if you need your art of praise, Suzanne's the man, or so to speak, or the woman. And Erica is here now, and next to her is Ella. But one person I really also want to introduce is one of my mentors for decades, and one of my favorite people in Washington, D.C. is Maida Withers.
Hi. Thank you. My very dear friend Marjorie, and she's one of the most brilliant people I've ever met. And I've met a lot of people, and a lot of brilliant people. But Marjorie's a jewel of Washington, D.C. Not to be equaled very soon, I don't think. So thank you and congratulations.
Maida was my dance composition teacher at GW. Yes. I went to GW. I was an art major and a dance and Eastern religion minor. And in fact, the school nearly arrested me for my final project.
They tried.
They threw a happening in the quad at GW as my final project for my dance composition class. And it turns out that it was right at Kent State happened. And right after my happening, everybody went to Lisner Auditorium and Eric Fromm spoke. And then all the people that were at that thing went and took over the student center, and somebody in my thing painted on the sidewalk, jail Nixon free Bobby. It was Bobby Seale, and the school indicted me. And so we had really a ball with that. I mean, I had a second happening. It was great. It was great. I actually still have that transcript, so we could actually play that out again. I remember that like it was yesterday. It was really funny. Anyway, but Zenith is a community. It started as a community at 15th and Rhode Island, and Carol had a studio there, and a number of the artists I still represent today had studios there. Zenith has always been more than a gallery. It's a sort of an extended family, and
you had an all-woman wood shop.
I did. I had women who you know, worked for me in my wood shop, and now I'm I'm working on it for my nonprofit, building a mobile wood shop. That's my next big nonprofit project, and then is the Artist Senior Living project. So I want to do that.
You know, Marjorie, you were the person that had a vision for like 7th Street.
Yeah.
When we had the first sort of corporate, the revitalization of Washington, and you did this corridor on 7th Street. And it has just gone from one sector to another in Washington, D.C.
And it happened in 14.
You understood it. You understood the potential for Washington to be more than a southern town.
Well, and you know, and it's a very typical transition, which is where do the artists move? The artists move into the most marginal neighborhoods, about ready to turn, and they turn them, which is, of course, what they do. You know, what happened to Soho and so many other places. Now artists are getting more with it and buying their spaces and not being turned out every time, you know, the neighborhood gentrifies. So, but let me start with Carol, because Carol's been with us the absolute longest, and have you say a couple things, Carol.
Well, Zenith Gallery and Margie Goldberg have completely transformed my life from a 21-year-old person coming out of college. I was Margie's apprentice for 4.5 years, and oh my God, nobody has done more for the arts than you, and Zenith has done more for the arts in Washington to keep it relevant. It's still the most relevant art collection around because you represent every type of art out there, and nobody else does that. And it's Zenith is more of a spirit, I think, of artists that are very wonderful in what they do, but non-competitive, which I think is so important. You go to New York and you say to someone, how did you do that? And they go, oh, I'm not going to tell you that. But in Washington and through Marjorie, you would have people who would always be there to help you. You'd say, how do I make this? And there would be 10 people giving you advice. So the whole spirit of Zenith has always been to give and to produce and to support the artists, which is phenomenal. That's it.
Linda, while it's going around the room, since Linda's one of the artists in the show.
Well, I'm Linda Smith-Buga, and I've been exhibiting with Marjorie, I guess for a couple of years, and it's funny, when I went into the 7th Street Gallery, I was so blown away, but I didn't dare show her any of my work because I knew you were a woodworker. Then I said, oh, I'm not good enough yet. You know? And then here I was at work and I got a phone call from Marjorie and said, oh, I've been waiting to talk to you for 10 years now.
No wonder you were so cooperative.
For 10 years I've been wanting to talk to you. So anyway, so it's really been great. I've been very happy to be here.
Joyce?
Yes, I'm Joyce Lipper, and the first time I actually knew Marjorie or met her was in the early 70s. I went to her gallery when it was on Rhode Island Avenue, and I was really, really new into the art scene in this area.
That's right.
Yes.
You did something really different then.
Yes, totally. And then later on, in '85, Marjorie was judging a show at the Art League in Alexandria, and she gave me the Equal Art Award, and then called me up, and then she had started having some of my pieces in her gallery, and I guess that was on 7th Street by that time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What year was it?
That was '85.
Oh God, no. We were still in Rhode Island.
Okay, all right. But I started showing with Marjorie very heavily then when she was at 7th Street. And then it's been a wonderful relationship ever since.
Well, one of our artists just showed up, Anne Bowie just showed up as she's eating, which is what Anne does.
Yes, Marjorie.
Yeah, she turns into a pit bull when she doesn't eat. You look so nice, Anne.
Thank you, and I do have to confess, if it had been snowing when I were further away, I would not be here. I am from California.
You don't do snow.
No. But I am Anne Bowie, and the first time I met Marjorie was here in this place, literally. We did a show, she curated a show with Black Artists in DC, and we had art from here to there and everywhere, and it was wonderful. It's the first time I met her and her energy and her enthusiasm for art and for artists. And I've always appreciated that, and I've always appreciated not only that, but the fact that she can give you feedback that helps move your work down the field, which is also very important for an artist. Are we talking about the piece?
Go ahead. Talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Oh, well, the piece that I have here is called Behind Closed Doors, and it's from a series that deals with visual cues in places where there should not be visual cues, e.g. the Underground Railroad. It's one of the streams in which I work, and the other stream is a more metaphysical, universal kind of stream. And I'm really pleased to be here with some wonderful artists. A good friend who's also helped me with a piece that I needed a dowel for and didn't know how to do. And Linda helped me with that with no problems at all, and I'm sure she will be happy to know that I am taking a carpentry class. I think that's enough out of me. I'm just very pleased to be here, very pleased to be working with Marjorie and the other women in this show. I really, really am, and looking forward to doing more good work with you, darling.
Yay!
And why don't we get Suzanne, who's probably got a long of a history with Zenith. Oh, is anybody else here?
Yes, I do have a very long history, and
Can you step around to the light,
it's
please?
transformed my life.
Suzanne, can you step out this way, please?